Welcome back, Shalligators. Yes, I'm really planting my flag on new frontiers of grubbiness. It doesn't matter. Today, we are going to continue talking about Kendall Jenner's breakup from Devin Booker. Because I asked you guys on my Instagram, what's the topic here? I lost count of how many of you guys said how to get a boyfriend when you're fucking boring. Like, she's boring. I'm so bored. She's so boring. How does she get how do you keep a boyfriend if you're boring? And part of me was like, that's really funny. But the other part was like, maybe we do need to talk about this. I actually get a lot of questions from you guys saying, I feel like I'm in a rut. I feel like my life is dull. I want a boyfriend. I want friends. I'm just like, bleh. How do I get the life I want? We're going to talk about it. But before we do you guys know what? You guys have we have a new Shalligator getaway that launched today. Yes, we are going to Italy. I know this is not our 2 Italy trips that we have this year. It is next year, April 15th to April 21st. It's a totally different itinerary than the ones we're doing this year. Next year, we are going to Milan. We are going to Venice, and we are going to Lake Como. Okay, if you're not familiar with these Italian cities, Milan is kind of like the New York of Italy. It's very like fashionable and everyone's in black and it's like coffee houses and all. Like Fashion Week is in Milan. Venice, I'm sure you guys know, gondolas and winding little alleyways that open into these incredibly beautiful historic town squares with cathedrals. You're like, where did this come from? Lake Como? You have definitely seen celebrity shots from Lake Como. Maybe you know people who honeymoon there. George Clooney lives there full time. It's just stunning. I've never been to Lake Como, so I'm so excited to go to this one particular place with you guys. The weather is going to be fantastic. We're going to travel with our own photographer. So the first 10 slots are going to save $200. This trip will sell out. All our trips have sold out. And so that's why I wanted to add another one. This is actually going to be back to back with Paris. I'm going to just stay out in Europe. Like I said, this will sell out. So go ahead and click the link down in the show notes. It's going to be so much fun. You guys, so many floral prints, so many florals. I can't even wait. Okay, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. That was a little too much personality, a little too much spice. We're dialing it down. Because we're talking about Kendall Jenner. Queen Sourpuss, right? I talked about this yesterday in the video. Kendall, she doesn't seem like a mean person, but she just seems like kind of a victim, you know? Like her whole thing of like, I like to cosplay that I have tuberculosis. You know, she's like, I'm in an anxiety spiral and I have my sound bowls. Like she acts like she's forever trying to pull herself out of some sort of hole. Right? And at least she's trying to pull herself out of it instead of just being like, oh. But I'm like, what is the hole? What's in that hole? A bunch of Dolce & Gabbana custom-made dresses? What's in the hole? The 16th dog you've had? Have you guys ever gone down a rabbit hole of investigating the Kardashian pets? I've seen some people do this on Instagram. I should like do a deep dive too. But someone made a spreadsheet. Like they have gone through, they get these animals and it's like, where did they ever go? You never hear about them again. And it's like, what's happening? What's happening here? Like if they had kept all of these animals, they would have like 6 dogs each or something kind of wild. Do you guys know anything about this? Tell me in the comments. We'll talk about it because I just want to murder somebody who treats a dog like an accessory. They're a child, you know? Cowboy is my son. I didn't give birth to him, but like at this point, if I have a baby, I'm probably not going to give birth to it either. I'm probably going to acquire it, you know? Not like steal it. I mean, you know, adopt it. Also, I just have to speak on the Roe versus Wade thing. I mean, I'm not going to speak a lot about it because I'm going to start to cry, but my heart is just fucking broken. If you don't want an abortion, don't get one. Pro-choice is not, I'm going to force you to get an abortion. If you don't want one, don't get one. It's fine. Have all the kids you want. Literally no one gives a shit. Why would you want to bring a child into this world that the parents don't want them there? And it's crazy to me that parents, people who already have kids are like, oh, fuck pro-choice, like fuck abortion rights. Like, girl, you know how much work this takes. You know this. And you got to be all in for it. And even when you are, it is still the hardest thing I can possibly imagine. I've opted out. I mean, I'm not doing it. And I've spoken with you guys. I've had an abortion. And I thank God. And you know, some people, they tell their abortion story and it's like, I was like a street urchin. I was like Oliver Twist and I was poor and I wasn't. I was a grown woman. I made 6 figures. So did my partner. We would have figured it out. I didn't want a baby. I didn't want one. And you really gotta want it. And even when you do, it's tough. The last thing I would ever do is roll the dice. Like, well, you'll love it when it gets here. What if you don't? This poor thing comes into the world hated with an agenda. It just really breaks my heart. But I am going to do my part to help out, because I know that you can take the abortive pills. That's called a medical abortion versus like I guess it would be like a clinical abortion where you go in and it's like a procedure. You know, I've had that and no one's using it for fucking birth control. Let me tell you that. It's pretty fucking brutal. And I was like super early on. Like this was as easy as it was gonna get. But I know that you can get these abortive pills via telehealth. Like you can literally do it over text. I'm going to ask some people I know who've gone through this. I'm going to get the links to these sites because it's like, it'll show you per state. I really encourage you, if you can afford to do this, stockpile a prescription of this. Maybe not for you, maybe it's for a friend. Now is the time, but I'm going to find the link to this and I'll put it as a link in my bio on Instagram and it will live there forever. Okay. I don't know what else to do, but what you guys can do if this is really upsetting for you is definitely vote local. Like, because now abortion rights are in the hands of the state. In Montana, we have a really rigid constitution about body autonomy, which is why they couldn't force us to get the vaccine. And again, it blows my mind. Like on both sides of the aisle, Democrats are like, get a fucking vaccine. Don't you tell me what to do with my uterus. It's like, what? And the Republicans are reversed. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with everybody? Is there no body autonomy party? Apparently not. So you need to vote local at your local level. Ask candidates, are you going to ratify the Constitution? What does our Constitution say about body autonomy? Who is going to uphold that? Who's going to try to change that? So this is really, really important. You know, it's not just the president that we need to vote for. I digress. Let's talk about boring ass Kendall. I'm sorry. We're going to keep this video kind of short and sweet. Like I said, she's a dullard. Bit of a dullard. Sourpuss, you know, big bit of a black cloud. And whenever she's like happy and jovial, it always just has this anchor of like temporariness. It's so tertiary. It's like she's laughing now, but it's like someone might wear the wrong shirt around her and she's like, I was gonna wear that shirt. I mean, remember the Kendall and Kylie fight in Palm Springs? I did like a series of videos on that because I was like, I'm team Kylie on this. Like Kendall had decided to be mad and she just seems like that. Like she's waking up in the morning, she's like, I'm going to be mad about something today. And then it's all over but the shouting. How do you get a boyfriend if you're boring? As I said, I get a lot of questions from you guys that kind of funnel down to this issue. I'm in love with the lacrosse captain. He's the student class president. He's the cool guy in the office. He's the whatever. There's some version of the big, bright, shining star. He's the big man on campus. Whatever campus, I mean, it doesn't have to be an actual campus. It could be the big, bright, shining star in your social scene. And the way a lot of these girls describe themselves is like, and I'm just like kind of there, like nobody notices me. I'm boring. Here's a question for you. Why are you boring? No, I don't mean tell me the intricacies of your boringness. Like, you know, well, I'm boring because I don't have any hobby. I explain why you have let this happen and why with every decision you make throughout the day, you're continuing to let this happen. Do you think I was born interesting? I was a fantastic baby. I wasn't. I was just like a baby potato like everybody else is. Now I'm a potato on the internet. I was not born interesting. I became interesting. Maybe I have a higher like interesting like foundation. You know, some people are like born kind of athletic. They're like natural athletes. Hey, you don't use it, you lose it. There's plenty of great athletes who are fat at fucking Applebee's. I see them all the time. I work so hard to diversify myself and to be interesting. Do you know what fuels that? Usually narcissism. It is. I mean, when we do our Jennifer Lopez video, I think one of the topics is going to be why you should be more like a narcissist, traits to borrow from a narcissist. I did one like 4 years ago about Kim Kardashian. It's like narcissists have a lot of good ideas, not all of them, but some of their traits, we definitely should dial up in ourselves, 100%. And for me, one of the reasons I like to listen to podcasts, read books, take history classes, know about so many different things, from bull riding to plants to Roman history to Victorian era surgery, is because I like to be a fucking know-it-all and I like attention. No matter what the topic is that people are talking about, I like to have something to contribute because I like attention. We were at a group dinner the other night and we were going to see this play, the Stephen Sondheim play that my friend's husband was in called Assassins. It was literally the worst play I've ever seen in my life. I hate the theater. I'll just say that right now. I hate it. It was a musical about presidential assassins. It was unbearable. But we got to talking at the table about like, what do you think was the most impactful assassination in history? And someone was like JFK or like Caesar. I was like, those actually really didn't make much of a dent. Like the Roman Empire didn't fall when Caesar died. You know, Truman, who took it? Johnson, who took over for Kennedy. Maybe the Vietnam War. I was like, no, it's Franz Ferdinand. Franz Ferdinand, 100%, his assassination. Do you know what I got from the rest of the table? Blank stares. I was like, you guys know who Franz Ferdinand is, right? They're like, yes. I said, the shot heard around the world. Is this ringing any bells? Mm-hmm. Franz Ferdinand was the Archduke of Austria. He was assassinated, tipped us into World War I, which of course laid the foundation for World War II. And I was just like, none of you fucking people know this? You know? And prior to that, at the dinner, I've been kind of bored. I'm like, we're just like struggling for topics to find. And I realized, and I'm not trying to shit on my Montana friends, but it's like, I was bored because they were boring. One phrase we use here is interesting people have interests. Is it not the root word? Bored people are boring. Kendall Jenner, who is perennially like if I could encapsulate her in one physical pose, it's in a big sweatshirt, laying in bed, like just mean mugging everyone, especially if there's people who are having fun. She's not having fun, right? She's the sourpuss. She's an energy vampire, an energy reorienter to bring everything back to her. That's probably an extreme characterization, but that's how she reads to me. If we have to make these people into extreme characters, that's where it would go. And so since she's always bored, I view her as boring. Have you ever been talking to someone at a party and they're super boring or they're the sourpuss in the corner and you're like, I just want to draw them out of their shell. That's my job somehow. How fun. Ooh, I bet beneath the surface bubbles all this passion and liveliness. No, you're like, bye. We're not drawn to these people. They're anti-seducers, basically, right? They're repellent. Am I kicking anything up for you? Is this kind of how you are? We get into this like vicious cycle when socializing because what humans like, I broke my tongue again today. What humans like is to know what's going to happen. We are actually low risk animals and we're constantly doing risk analysis. So we want to know what the outcome is going to be. And even if we have to create that outcome, we want to do that so that we know we're right. What am I saying? We like self-fulfilling prophecies, okay? I remember looking back on my 20s and I was like in this phase where I was not meeting any guys. I was like, every guy hates me. I don't even want to go out. But I kept going out. And what would I do when I went out? I was just mean mugging everyone because I had decided in my mind, none of these guys are going to like me. Well, no shit. Because you're sitting there with like a sourpuss. You're bitching at everyone. Your body language is closed off. Like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then I got to go home at the end of the night, be the victim, be like, see, no one talked to me. And finally, one of my friends was like, you make yourself the outsider. Who would want to talk to you? I don't even want to talk to you right now. I did not want to hear it. Usually we don't want to hear things that are pretty right? So look at yourself. Are you creating these self-fulfilling prophecies? But maybe that's not it. Maybe you're like, no, I'm just not that interesting compared to other people. Why not? That's your choice, dude. Why not? Are you coming home and scrolling on Instagram and doing nothing and watching TikToks? What are you doing with your life? Interesting people have interests. They have something to say. And more than anything, they have something they're passionate about. I want to be around passionate people, right? And it's difficult in Montana. In New York, I guess, when you think about it, it could be the same sort of split of the population. I'm thinking like some people in New York are very passionate about what they do. Like I'm a magazine editor, like I'm a finance bro, I'm the Wolf of Wall Street, right? They're super passionate. But some people are just in the rat race. And they're like, yeah, I like work at this magazine and I'm never going to move up. And I go home and I talk to my plants and rinse, repeat, right? Same in Montana. I mean, you have people who are like, I bow hunt elk and I love to get good at it. And it's like the first day of hunting season and they're like gassed up about something. Or they're a carpenter or they're a barrel racer. I like to be around those kinds of people. But then there's totally very one-dimensional people, And I think that's just the population. Not everyone's going to be interesting. Not everyone's the star of the play. But we are. We are here. I meet a lot of you guys. We do these trips. I talk to you. By and large, we are fucking unreal. Like, we're not dullards. We're not. If you like this channel, it's probably because there's something inside of you that says, I can be better. I want to level up in some way. I don't even know how yet. That's okay. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know how. You're going to take it step by step, right? Because the idea of going from 0 to 60 in terms of boring to interesting is so you have to tell me I have to go out and become an expert at something? No, you don't have to be an expert, but you do have to be passionate about something. I don't care if it's cake decorating. If you're into that, great. Why is this important? Because when we are passionate about something, we're lit up inside, and most importantly, we want to be around other passionate people. Just because they're not in our lane, they're not cake decorating. Oh, they're hunting, they're fishing. Wow, tell me about that. I love the look in your eye when you talk about elk. I don't get it, but I love it. I'm feeding off the energy. It's an energy exchange. Not to be all woo-woo, but I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing, so we can. When people are of that vibe, I love it. You guys know I date younger dudes. Part of the reason I do is because they're just much more enthusiastic about life. I mean, they're certainly enthusiastic about my boobs. They're like, oh, those are tits. They're so psyched, The bar is very low. They're fresher in the world. They're not like, ugh, the bitch Jenny broke my heart in 11th grade. They're just not, they're still so enthusiastic. I'm really enthusiastic about life. I'm really passionate and devoted to the things that I love. And I want to be around someone like that. Old people can be really fucking dour. And you can be old at 26. You can be young at 84. It's really not an age thing. Old is kind of a state of mind. It's a decision you make to stop being curious. Right? It's a decision you make I graduated, so I'm really not going to learn anything else. It's just, that's your choice. Yeah, learning is difficult. Yeah, it's time consuming. Yeah, we could all lay on our bed and just veg out and do nothing. Okay. You're going to reap what you sow from life then. What's the return on investment there? You're going to have a boring ass, stultifying, stagnated life. If that's what you want, accept it. There's no shame in saying, I don't really want to do much more than what I'm doing. That's fine, but don't expect more. I'm being real with you. If you aren't taking care of your body, if you're just eating whatever you want, do you expect to date like a CrossFit athlete? No, you're not in the same lane. They're not going to vibe with you. This works intellectually and emotionally as well. If there's nothing that lights you up inside, then you're going to attract exactly that kind of same crowd, other boring people. And you guys can just bore yourself to death. I kind of don't think that's what you want to do. So you got to put some work in. I think a lot of times when we feel bored and just blah, we are the most attracted to the big, bright, shining star, the charismatics, the big man on campus, because we want to sort of siphon that off for us and get it via osmosis. That's a hurt locker. I've talked so much about my hockey ex that I dated, my ultimate hurt locker. Oh my God, it took me 5 years to get over him. But he was so good at his career and doing so well and so passionate. And that was a time when I just wasn't. I didn't feel like I had the direction that I wanted for my life. I didn't feel confident. And so I was trying to vampire off some of his confidence. Unsurprisingly, that's a fairly unattractive trait. It's also not effective. If that worked, I would tell you. I would 100% tell you. It kind of doesn't. Not for very long, because then you were the ultimate cold-blooded animal. Your entire identity is wrapped up not just in many people, where you can crowdsource a lot of things, a person. And if he leaves, holy fucking shit, he takes your whole identity with you. Believe me, I've experienced it. I don't recommend it. In hindsight, I should have done, and I eventually did do this, but it was a long, painful time to do it. Become more like that person. You don't want to date this lacrosse captain, this big man on campus. You want to be him. That's okay. I know that sounds weird, but that is what you actually want. How can you do that? Run for student government, join the track team, study harder, be better in your classes. Like whatever it is, there actually is like a list of things you could do. Have you made that list? Sit down and make it. Why do I want this person or this type of person or this type of friend or this type of experience? What is the root emotion under there? Because it's not, well, I want people, I want a blue check mark. Okay, well, what do you think that's going to do for you? What is that going to make you feel like? What is that going to erase in your life that you've been stressing about? Which it probably won't. I have a blue check mark. Not much changed. Well, my attitude, my ego went through the roof. I'm infinitely worse, right? Actually, nothing experientially in my life did change, because that's not really how it goes. The change has to come in here. I know. It's so fucking annoying. It's so much easier to think, okay, I'm just going to keep chasing this guy. And when I get it, or this friend, or this experience, this whatever, then everything's going to be okay. I mean, all right, try it. I did. I'm telling you, like from 10 miles down the road, that it doesn't really work. And that actually you will ultimately use less energy trying to turn yourself into that person. You will. It's so much easier to go after your dreams than to run away from it. If there is truly one lesson I've learned from life, it's that. It is. Like, put that on my tombstone. It is easier to go after your dreams than to constantly run away from them. And isn't that fantastic? That's like the best news. That's fantastic. So give it a shot. Why are you boring? Get granular. What's making you boring? Is it fear? Is it, well, I feel like everyone else is more interesting? Don't bring other people into this. This is about you. This is you versus the music, right? This is not Shallon's so interesting. It has nothing to do with me or your best friend or that girl in your sorority. It has nothing to do with them. You are not actually competing with them. You are competing with the best possible version of yourself. That's who you're up against. Because maybe if you were just like them, that wouldn't even feel authentic. It's like, oh, she's a star of the volleyball team. I actually fucking hate volleyball. The squeaking of the shoes makes me insane. It does. You need to be the best version of yourself, because when you are chipping away at that and working at it, ironically, you're no longer threatened. It's interesting that when we pull back from that comparison spiral and we just focus on ourselves, we think, well, no, that's going to make the comparison worse. If I don't constantly compare myself, how am I going to know if I'm measuring up and doing better? Because they don't matter. Their lane, their race, that's them. That's not you. When you can pull back and be like, I have fucking blinders on for 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. I have blinders on. I'm not going to look at anyone else online. I'm not going to ask how that bitch in my sorority is doing. I'm not going to do as much as I can. I'm going to block all these things out, and I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on chasing authenticity, even if it's dorky, even if it's not monetizable, even if there's no clout to it. Who cares? It's fun for me. I have a whole variety of hobbies that I don't tell you guys about because they're dorky, like needlepoint. I love needlepoint. I do. Love it. Am I going to sell the needlepoint? What kind of psychopath would do that? No. I love to bake. Cool. I do those things for me. I take dance lessons, like for me. They're not for anyone. They're not for the gram. They're not for money. They're for me because they light me up inside. And because I do that, I come back to my work and the things that I do show you with so much more focus because I feel fulfilled. It's like coming back to you guys with a good night's sleep. I'm like, let's do this. Okay. It feeds me the way healthy food, the way a good night's sleep, the way a great dick session feeds us, you know? We have to incorporate these things. And if we focus just on getting that great dick session from the lacrosse captain, it really isn't going to do what we think it's going to. So we're going to keep this video short and sweet, mostly because I have a manicure appointment. Look, I broke 2. Embarrassing. Clown shit. But we're going to be back later. We're going to do that J-Lo video. I swear to God, I'll look better than I do now. I promise. And like I said, we're going to Italy. You guys, it's going to be so much. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. So go ahead and click the link down in the bio to join me. The first 10 spots save $200, and once they're gone, they're gone. This trip will sell out probably, sooner rather than later. So I really hope that you guys can join me. It's gonna be fantastic. Can't wait to meet my 20 new besties. I'll see you later, Shalligators.